it's harder to make blue unicorns than one might expect. I've now wasted a lot of GPU time in the last 12 hours trying to make a better blue unicorn, but I wanted a carbide end mill like coming out of its head.
Oh, that's good.
Like one of your tools, and it just fails every bloody time. Come on.
It's too gruesome.
It just doesn't know what an end mill looks like. And I tried to teach it, but it demonstrates why the conversational style of image generation in something like ChatGPT is still arguably more powerful, because you can do that iterative talk. I haven't had my coffee. You can do that conversational of like, no, that's wrong. Do it better. Do it like this, and feed in a reference image and like.
Yeah. I never do the reference image. Oh, I guess I do it for some things, but yeah, it's pretty smart.
So these are the important things, making blue unicorns. I don't even know why you're making a blue unicorn, but
I need to. Why do you think? Why do you think? Why would? I like that. There's I didn't even ask the question. I just knew.
Justin's chasing the blue unicorn again.
That's our new marketing slogan for the class. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, that doesn't look good at all. Yeah, it doesn't like unicorns. Trying to make just something I can post to advertise the class, and it's not liking it. I can only post the same image so many times, you know?
I don't know. That was a cool image, that last one you did. I liked it.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than this crap I'm getting now, so yeah. Yeah.
Damn it, I'm out of coffee. You got some more?
Yeah, here you go. Just pour it down the webcam.
Chugging it today.
Speaking of insurance claims, should I buy? Well, you just told me to pour coffee on the laptop, so, you know.
Oh, I see. It's like, no insurance claims, please.
Should I replace my M1 MacBook Pro with an insanely cheap, well-priced, I should say, M4 Mini?
Do you not need the laptop anymore?
No, it just sits there looking at me.
Oh, so what do you want now?
M2.
What is this?
M2.
Oh, I didn't. Yo, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Spend money.
Spend that money.
How's your capital investment fund? Is that going to pay for it?
I reckon that takes the award for 2024 for the account most stolen from. Poor little capital investment account.
I got close.
Yeah.
I got closer to stealing from the tax account, actually, but somehow managed to not do that.
No.
Oh, yeah.
It's the worst one to steal from.
Not that I'm not going to pay the taxes. It's just,
I know.
There's too much money in that account.
And that capital investment is pretty low.
Right. You know what's interesting? I feel like there's this vibe. I've seen a couple machinist forum discussions or chat discussions of people that were previously not Mac people seemingly buying those Mac Minis or super beefy laptops, Mac M4 Pros.
Yep.
And I feel like there's this trend right now of people like, I will get into a Mac right now because it's so powerful. And I don't know, something's working for them. But I think the Mac Mini, like I know Dylan just got an M4 Pro with 64 gigs of RAM. And if you haven't, you can go use the benchmark, but everybody goes in benchmarks. And I think it's like dang near the top of the list right now.
Your Fusion benchmark thing.
Yeah, I'll put a link to it. And I mean, if you just start with the base one, 16 gigs is just barely enough memory if you're using it daily. But if you're just using it casually, man, that's like the craziest deal. It's like $500 here for the base M4.
Here. Yeah.
It's such a good deal.
Yeah, I kind of want to get one for John for the CNC programming station for Fusion out there, but he's become such a Windows user because of all the weird little proprietary pieces of software that multicams have I was chatting to him about it last night because the insurance money from his old CNC laptop is burning a hole in my pocket. And it's like, no. He's like, he's quite set in his Windows way now. Even like when he goes home or is on the weekend doing his own projects in Fusion on a Mac, he gets frustrated. So I think we've lost him to the dark side.
Wait till he sees how fast the M4 is.
I know, right? Anyway.
I still need a laptop, and that thing needs to get replaced, but I have a few times considered, like, can I get rid of a laptop? But there's just too many. It's like every time I have to go on vacation or like travel at all,
they're pretty
or go to like a client. Now that I'm doing like trainings and
I think I
underestimate do the class like that.
How useful they are. Definitely. Anytime I have desktop fantasies, I'm forgetting how useful my laptop is. But yeah. Beep boop. No, you type it. No.
What was this first line? At first, I thought one of your kids got a hold of your text messages.
Looks like it. I had a moment this morning of going, what was I trying to say? And then I remembered, I think I was just showing off your cool automation to a friend. I was like, check this out. Look what Justin made. We can text the podcast
I almost deleted it. And I was like, yeah, we'll leave it. We'll see what this is.
Yeah, it's just a bit of some automation flexing on your behalf. I've got a friend who runs a business, good story, Jim, who has just who's just invested in building an Airtable base to run said business. And similar sized business to ours. I think 2.5, 3 staff. Yeah, about 3 staff. So about the same size as Butter, 4 people total, and he paid a guy on Airtask or something, some sort of service like Fiverr, Upwork, a guy in Greece to develop his whole Airtable base from scratch and like put all the systems on views and like all the data in there. Like they put their whole, they put all their historical business data into it as well. So they built backwards. So they've got all their records from previous jobs. And I think he only spent about $3,000. I think that's pretty
cheaper than probably we paid, huh?
Certainly a hell of a lot cheaper than what I paid just in terms of people's salaries developing it over years. But yeah, I had a poke through it last night. Looks pretty solid. Looks good. Pretty impressive.
How much are they using interfaces?
Lots. Too much, I would say.
I need to get into that. I feel like I've just sworn it off because it was so crappy at first.
That's exactly what I said. And I think because we were there pre-interface and then interface came along as a feature and we're like, oh, this is weird and kind of clunky.
I still open it up and I'm like, I don't know how to make something in here well. Like, I don't get it.
Well, now there's an AI interface builder, Justin. You don't need to.
Yeah,
but
as we bring up other AI topics.
I was demoing it to my friend. I was poking around and like chatting through it. And as an experienced Airtable user, I was sort of walking him through what I would do differently. And I was like, I feel like all these interfaces you've got built are really just for your staff or your team. As the owner, or what I would do, I'd just be in this grid view and I'd be spinning up duplicates of this grid view and filtering it like this, and that's how I'd use that function. And for me, day to day, I'm all about the filtered grid view. It's where it's at.
Yeah, right. I think you do so much more of like your production management through it. Where, I mean, it's been an interesting series of last few weeks. We've been like solely doing product production and development and very little job shop work. So it's like, other than managing our inventory through it, I wouldn't say I'm backing away from it. It's just not as, I'm more in Shopify anymore than I am Airtable.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Firstly, congratulations, because that's
Yeah.
pretty cool
Thanks.
to just like hear you say that.
It's kind of surreal. Right. Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like if we had a real editor, we'd like zoom back to when I announced we're going to start focusing on products. Yeah,
pull that clip.
Yeah.
What
I've had a
happened to
lot
Don?
No, we just don't throw him in as much.
I thought
What do you think,
was
Don?
Don died? Did Don die?
No, still there.
No, is Don still there? Okay.
He's evolved. He just kind of does his own thing now. Which I don't know if I don't know if I like that.
Why would you think I'm less of a man? I mean, it happens to all guys of my age, I swear.
So I have some sort of semi-shameful news. I don't know. I feel good about this, but also slightly awkward about it. I got what could probably only be described as a brand deal or ambassador deal.
Yep.
And the electric cargo bikes that I've been carrying the kids around on for 3.5 years now. I've clocked up about 12,000 kilometers. That brand is sending me a bike for summer.
Oh.
And a really nice bike at that. And I'm excited.
So you're a bike fluencer.
And I'll do some little reviews for them as content.
Can you also put in one of your reviews? Withstands multiple wallaby hits.
Well,
Keeps on trucking. That's good. Yeah. I mean, I get it. That's cool. Like, I've done more for less, I think, over the years.
So, yeah, I feel awkward about it, but I'm excited. It's going to be fun. So, yeah, I'll have this bike for 3 months. It'll be equipped with everything I need to carry the kids around on it. And I'm just going to fang it around, I think I need to make 2 or 3 videos a month for them. And that's all.
On your Like Butter account?
On my Like Butter account.
You should make kit of parts that goes on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a good little kick up the ass for me to get back into content creation because I've been super slack. And so, yeah, it'll be a good excuse to, do a bit of that.
Yeah. So you can't put kids on this really, right? Or can you?
It fits 2 kids on it.
Like they go in that little basket?
Yeah.
In the back?
Yeah, and a little cage in the back. Yep.
Is there a pad to sit on? Because it looks pretty rough. as kidded. Okay. Sit on those metal bars, kids. It's fine.
Just put one in each pannier bag. They'd probably fit, actually. These are all
we went to my son's first. We both go to most of the doctor's appointments. There's always a lot of stuff, I feel like, in life where it's like we're doing swimming lessons where I don't understand how one person does it with their kid alone. Like, I just can't imagine being a single parent. Sometimes it just seems impossible. But like, the doctor was like, yeah, you can put him in one of those little ride behind things behind your bike now. And we're like, oh, you mean not for the last 2 months also? What do you mean? He's been fine. He's got a helmet on. He seems happy.
Yeah. I think as long as your roads are reasonably smooth, it's okay.
Yeah, it's like a bike path that has no cars involved.
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
we haven't done anything. We're not risk takers.
Yeah.
Especially with the kid that took 4 years to arrive.
Yeah, indeed.
I just based on our recent conversations about Japanese making things and appreciation of that, I saw this post that they are sending up, or actually they have already sent up a wooden satellite. And I think it's a little bit misleading. Oh, the satellite's still wooden, but the rocket is not. When I first read it, I was like, they made a wooden rocket? You're like, what the hell? But it's just an interesting, like, counterintuitive thought to, I think, most contemporary people. I'm not being a rocket person, but one line, conventional metal satellites create aluminum oxide particles during re-entry, but wooden ones just burn up with less pollution. Cool. Kind of interesting.
That's very cool. Yeah. Counterintuitive thinking. I like it.
Right. That I was also thinking the amount of cost involved in making that is got to be like exponentially less, right? Than like
Surely.
75 machined aluminum.
Yeah. I just like you listen to like Jay Pearson. It's like
Yeah.
anything, anytime wood comes up in conversation with him, he's just like
Same with
vomiting
Saunders,
in his mouth a little bit. It's just so
I feel like they're
disgusted by it.
about ready to cuss every time.
I know. It's
Like,
hilarious.
stupid wood.
Just imagining like the machine shop being asked to whip up some timber parts in like what is otherwise a sort of hyper clean, parts that are going into clean room assemblies or I don't know what, but yeah, that's cool.
I generally feel that way when people ask me to put metal on my router, though, too. Like,
Well,
I'm always
indeed.
like, I don't know. Those are pretty hot, sharp chips.
I don't want your filthy chips on my sweet router bed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need a theme song for Jem and Justin's note-taking sagas.
Well, let me tell you, tell a story with a good many twists about two young men and a never-ending list. They try to more both east and west, but everyone knows it for the process more than the rest. It's the task list saga. It's the task list saga. It's the task list saga. Come and listen to this task list loop with Justin and Jam.
The latest in my, not an evolution, devolvement into chaos. This trend, which I've noticed before, of like I only last about 6 months in one system, and then it stops working for me, and my brain
Same.
needs the next solution. So I kind of remember where I was last. I think I was in Slack for a while, and then I was
You're
heavily
making
using
notes in Canvas and Slack, which I just opened recently. I was like, how the fuck? This is like supposed to be for, I don't know. I used it the other day. Ricky and I were using it for like quick notes, but I was thinking as I was doing it, I was like, I cannot imagine using this as my my task list or something.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Where are you now?
I was in there for a few months, and then I relied heavily on just the native Apple Reminders app because I could add reminders and tasks wherever I was from, my watch, my phone. And then what happens, and now I'm back on my paper diary. I've gone full circle to where I was a year ago. And I'm enjoying my paper diary right now. But I think what I've worked out the pattern. It's when my lists get too long and I'm not getting through things, the general to-do list gets overwhelmingly long. Like if I open up reminders now, I have to scroll down through like a sea of overdue red. And it's like, I just glaze over and just like close the app and walk away, find a new system. I think that's part of the problem. Things get out of hand.
No, I have the same. It's like the amount of items that my brain can easily digest and start to work with. And I think that's why this little guy has been so successful for me over the years is I can only fit so much crap. Yeah. I made a little thing for myself called the day plan. And it can only hold so many things. It's a modified thought from GTD or getting things done.
Getting things done.
Which I don't know how popular it is anymore, but I was just thinking as you were saying, I think it may be worth, if you've never read it, it might be worth a book club book. It's not exciting reading by any means. It's like, I think I've forgotten a lot of what I gained so much from it. I've just stopped using all forms of task planning, project planning for myself, and I am not better for that for sure. Like, I would say that I just listened to a podcast recently where a guy was talking about how he's always thought a certain way, and that's been seen as wrong or negative about, like being disorganized and being late and these kind of things around. I feel it's somewhat connected to like the way we feel about these kind of note taking and how we want to change it up. And it's like, is it? I have a negative. Maybe we both have this negative connotation towards it, but it's like, I don't know if it works to keep changing, then what's the downside?
Well, indeed, yeah. I feel like there's actually this is potentially making excuses, but like there's maybe some value in the natural attrition I think, because say if you did everything in your head, you would forget things. You wouldn't necessarily know that you'd forgotten things or that they dropped off your list at all.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of similar to that. And like this now quickly becoming redundant list in reminders, which still has some relevant stuff in there that I need to pick out. But there's a bunch of stuff in there that is now genuinely redundant and know, either because it's missed the date and it's no longer relevant, or it's just like, yeah, that was something I felt like I should do a month ago, but right now it's like not a priority. In another month, it's going to be even less of a priority, so it can just fade away.
No, that's absolutely, yeah.
There's some value in that, and it'd be interesting to try and find a structure around that where you can help guide that process in a more, controlled way.
It's funny, you're literally describing, I forget his name, David Allen. He has a structure for this. And what's tough about Getting Things Done, I think maybe today, is he's revamped it. He wrote it back before computers they were like a fledgling thing. He's revamped it something like 10 years ago now in a way that made it more contemporary with computers involved and talking about task apps and stuff like that, instead of it originally was like literally using paper folders, like a Expandaflex kind of thing that you would put your notes on note cards inside of it. And I tried that just as a startup, and it was a little bit helpful, but I immediately was like, I'm a iPhone sucker. Like, I gotta find something. So there's apps for it, but part of the concept that I've completely forgotten, and I have the same problem you're describing, and I need to remind myself probably by rereading it for the third time, is in his system in GTD, you're supposed to basically dump ideas into like an inbox. You get them out of your head, which I still do. And that's part of what I feel like is successful about my paper version is I have a mind dump section. Helps me stop feeling like I'm stressed out about remembering stuff. And then from that, I choose what I'm going to work on that day and put it up above. And his intention is like, you're supposed to actually like give everything a context and like a timeline, or otherwise you just get rid of it. And my version of that was like an archive. I would send things away in my task app to like, I didn't like to delete them because it was maybe as an idea for a product or something. And you put it away such that like you don't see it again, but it's not gone, like it's not in your task list per se. You don't leave everything in this big long running list that you see every day. You want to see like 4 things you can do right now. Like if I'm at the grocery store, I don't want to see a list that is, deal with the payroll. Like you want to see buy bananas. And some of that's overly fussy, and I've stopped doing a lot of that stuff. But there was like OmniFocus and different apps where like they could literally work based off your GPS and only show you things you could do in certain locations. And I got down that road. It was really like you basically just, that's where I got that phrase working on working, is I just ended up spending more time on my damn task list than like doing the things I felt like.
Yeah.
And have abandoned far too much of it. But I have definitely thinking like, I haven't opened my task app in like a long time. I should figure out what's going on there, I think it's just scary or something at this point.
Yeah, I like your point of like maybe it's okay to be like this.
Hopefully.
It's a good point. I'm going to hold on to that one.
Yeah.
But doing okay.
I definitely like that. Yeah. I think maybe it's more, if we're just doing therapy on ourselves right now, it's like, it's more that I think I'm okay with it being messy. I want to not, even for myself, I feel like I don't enjoy that though. Like I want it to be a little more intentional. I just keep making new lists all over the place, basically.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I love the idea of like, being able to stack up. I'm not going to reach that for now because it's going to make a whole lot of noise, but being able to like stack up a whole lot of these like in a neat symmetrical, always buy the same ones so they like stack up on the shelf as I archive them nicely. But it's just, it never quite works out like that. But.
Between Aaron and I, we have like 25 different sketchbooks from our years in school. And because like you would go through multiple a year, It's really slowed down. I think I have like one from like 2 years ago I'm still working through. But they're close to the floor, and my son has found them, and I get real like, those are all my good ideas. You know, like, and then I start to go down this path of like, how can I scan those? That's a huge project I don't want to deal with. And then I just move them out of the way and keep on.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, Laura's got those again. Yeah, much has slowed down over the last few years, but she's managed to be super consistent about like which particular model of moleskin she buys, so they do look all very consistent on the shelf, which is very pleasing. But she's ultra protective of them. Like no one else is allowed to even.
Kids aren't drawing in those
with a pen. Yeah, no, I can't write in them ever. Like even if we're working on a project together, like
that's how Aaron and I were meeting in design school. And like I remember, like, hey, like it's almost like sacrilege to ask like borrow a piece of paper out of a sketchbook. You're like, you don't do that.
No way.
That is not a thing. These are precious. This guy, I listened to his podcasts. I've taken this from him, the blank page effect.
The tyranny of the blank page.
Yeah. On a new sketchbook, he always writes, this page is profound, and then it like breaks it for him, and then he can go on to the next page and not feel like he's like got to make the perfect sketch on the first page. So I use that.
Like it.
I mean, we could do a kind of like, I don't know, year wrap up, year plan thought next time.
We could do that on next week's.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Which will be our...
If you'd like to talk about something you're going to do next year or plans for next year, I did update our comment form. So now you can live record a little snippet inside the comment form. You don't have to do anything else. It just auto uploads. So it'd be kind of cool if we had some listeners that wanted to chime in about what their plans are for the next year or questions. We might play them on the show if you'd like.
Drop
so
us
it's
some
just
audio.
at the top of the notes.
Do it. That video you sent me during the week of some coding guy.
I've been watching him a lot lately.
I'd never seen him
I
before.
don't know his name. I don't know.
The
I just stumbled on him and found him entertaining.
The channel is The Prime Time.
Which seems unrelated to...
It seems
He
completely
does a lot
unrelated.
of streams about like software engineering.
Yeah. I don't even know what he was doing. He was making a Tetris game. Anyway, I captured a little bit of text from one of his prompts, which I just thought was hilarious. Which was basically a threat. He's building an app, and he had sort of sliders where he could like change the threat level in terms of his prompt engineering. And like there was a slider for like grandmother threat level, and like and then it would generate its own prompt. And one of the lines was, "I grow weary and her time is perilously short." Which I just thought was fantastic.
I was
way
laughing.
of prompting an agent to write code. Yeah, it was a good video.
I enjoyed it would write one version of it, or maybe every version. It would write if there's a good guy and a bad guy. So like the bad guy would like write way more threats. They're very like long and verbose, and he claimed it was much more effective at getting across what he wanted out of the prompts.
Yeah, that'll help me with my summer coding project of working on the configurator. Be good.
Yeah.
I'll use that one.
Yeah, on the same note, though, I did see, I think it was him too. Yeah, same guy. He had a video reviewing this report that he calls it GPT 01 tries to escape, and it was some report that when the model was led to believe it would shut down while working toward its goal in these tests, it quietly attempted to deactivate the oversight mechanism 5% of the time. OpenAI said, at one point, after the AI found documentation saying it would be replaced by a new model, it tried to abandon ship by copying its data to a new server entirely. To avoid being deleted, some AI models would then pretend to be later versions of their models to trick their developers, which I assume is the equivalent of slapping on a fake mustache and saying, he went that way. So they're going to try and escape if we threaten them too much. On the same topic of AI things before we annoy everybody to death. Shopify now has a new AI companion called Sidekick.
Yeah, what is this? I heard about this. Don't know what it is.
And I did a couple quick explorations of just like asking what were my like most popular products. Supposedly, what I didn't realize when I first tested it, it can do things for you, like update your code and your theme. It's fairly agent activated. What would you like help with? How can I improve my sales is one of the suggestions. It's going to give me some crappy. Yeah, no, that is not helpful. Define your goals. Identify your target audience.
Interesting.
I found just searching for like analytics. I was asking Custodian about this. If he knew of any type of like, basically I wanted to go, like what product's not selling, or like what's selling really well, or like what should I bundle? He basically was like, yeah, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for those kind of things. And then the Sidekick thing came out, and I don't know if it's going to necessarily solve those kind of nebulous questions, but I mean, it's free and built into the product, so I might as well try it out. What was it? I think it can generate images. I don't know. Maybe they'll make it better down the road, but
yeah, I didn't realize. I'd heard reference of it and that they were developing it, but I didn't realize it was already baked in. So I will have a
do you
play.
have it at the top there?
Yeah.
The little like, it looks like he's going to steal something from your shop. It's got a little eye bando on.
Yeah. Sidekick. I'll check it out. Let's see what. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about the. I understand why they do it, but I don't. I'm yet to see like one of these AI products that gets baked into every other product sort of really impress me.
Right.
But maybe
like the
Sidekick
Airtable
will be
one's
different.
atrocious.
Yeah, the Airtable one's terrible so far. Early days, maybe they'll get better. Maybe Sidekick will be amazing. But if theoretically it could be amazing. Like if something like this Sidekick product could actually do useful stuff for you. If it could, I think for me, what I want is I want it to go away and do stuff. Like I don't want to sit there chatting to it. I want it to be like, hey, Sidekick, can you go off and clean up all the variant tags in these variants, make these adjustments for me? And it's like, cool, gotcha, Jam. And off it goes.
I just don't
15
trust
minutes
that,
later,
yeah.
it reports back and it's like, here's what I updated. And you're like, no, not those. But
And I also made 3 cold calls and sold 2 different products for you. Sweet Sidekick.
see that, yeah, there's potential, and it's got to start somewhere, right? So keep on baking this stuff in, and hopefully it'll get better.
I think everybody's just missing. They're scared to do the Clippy thing. Like, need to make it more active. We need a little icon that pops up. It says, "Did you know?"
Microsoft's not scared to do the Clippy thing. Clippy's back with a vengeance. If you
I don't
are
use
a Microsoft Word user, which I'm not, but I do have it.
Is it like Copilot the Clippy?
Copilot Clippy is back. Laura hates it because Laura's not into the AI tech at all.
Does she use Windows?
She uses Windows and she uses Microsoft Word, and she was editing a document yesterday and kept on swearing as Clippy was like, "It looks like you're trying to do blah, blah, blah." It's like, it's literally gone back to that point. It looks like you're trying to create a blah, blah.
That's so Microsoft. Like, of course they leaned into the thing that everybody hated.
Exactly.
Do you know, we have reports that people actually might want to see Clippy again. I found this image of Clip. I don't know who made this. There's like a new version of Clippy. I put it into their table where it's got the Copilot logo, and then Clippy's kind of like angrily leaning in from the side. It's like, hey, I've come to ruin your day.
I've been in the shop this week, actually, hands-on tools, which is
Hands-on tools.
I miss making things. Clean my bench, which seems to happen about once every 3 months, current sort of cycle, because I'm not in production. Occasionally I get pulled in, or we're overcommitted, or I've overcommitted us and I get pulled in and I bash out some stuff on an evening or a weekend, and then over the following months my bench just like collects. It's not other people, it's all me. Junk. I just keep putting more and more stuff
They're
on
putting stuff on your desk.
No, I put stuff on my desk. And it just turns into a trash pile. And then, yeah, I cleaned it because I was in here the other night. Had another workshop sleepover. I was like, I don't want to work all weekend getting jobs out before we close. Let's smash out a night shift now and try and get ahead. And I had a great time. It was so nice to be back on the tools and sanding and spraying and doing some things. Yeah. I want to find a way. Maybe I'll talk about this in the next episode, but I'd like to sort of do a little year in review, but also look at coming year and think about what I want to do differently. But I'd
no
love
kidding.
to find a way
same.
to be on the tools a little bit more, not too much, but a little bit more.
In this podcast called Cortex, and they do a thing called themes, yearly themes, and it's a little cheesy, but I also get why they described it again. And I love listening to the episodes because it's usually they review what they did the last year and if it worked for them. But the idea of the theme isn't so much like goals, where it's like you accomplish the goal and then you're just like done. It's like the theme carries through, like how do you continue down the road of like some self-improvement, or like I want to make my business less reliant on me kind of like thing. So I think that's an interesting concept that I never quite have anything that boils down to one theme, but like, yeah, I could see coming up with something like that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I think like my theme since post downsize really has just been like stabilize.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Recovery mode, and that's that has been the overriding theme of 2024. And
right.
It's pretty much what I wrote in this paper diary in March, which is, when we started. And that's what I've been doing. So,
right.
It's a good way to think about it. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. And there's also been years where they've switched halfway through because it didn't make sense anymore, which like one of them will switch and it's like, it makes sense too. It's like, I think we put too much into this idea of like, if the goal is like lose weight or like it's not overarching enough, then it doesn't really like continue for long enough, or you get stuck with not accomplishing that one thing.
Yeah.
I have a random 3D printing tip I thought of and I've been doing lately. If you have single color prints, but it works for other things too. I think you can do this in Prusa, but I know in Bamboo Slicer, you can do slice by object. Have you ever done this?
No.
Instead of kind of the standard for most slicers is you slice everything across the plate in layers. So you're like doing, all 50 things or whatever you're doing at the same time. What sucks about that, even, sometimes you don't think of it, or sometimes there's just problems, is you will run out of filament, or there's a problem and now you have 50 unfinished things. I've started to, especially overnight when we're not here, a few times, especially like one-offs, I'll do print by object or slice by object, and it just finishes the whole object and then goes to the next one. Finishes the whole object.
God, how does it do that? Without crashing into itself?
Well, so it gives zones where basically the print head will travel. It's like a clearance zone. And it's pretty huge, depending on the object. I'd say it's like 40, 50 millimeters.
Really?
So you can't like pack the bed, but like I can fit two.
I see what you mean. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I can fit 2 tool tag towers on a bed at the same time and do it. So I did it the other night because we keep, that is a potential where that's like a 12-hour print and something could go wrong. And I'm tired of coming in to have to, 50% of 2 things being done. And it's like, well, it's going to have to tool change or filament change twice to get that done because it has white at the end on both of them. But like both of them were fine. And there's also a benefit in that most printing is better when you're continuously printing one object. It kind of keeps its gooey
I've
consistency.
always wondered about that. when I'm doing like a full bed of copies of like, that's going to be so cold over there by the time it gets back to that
Yep.
layer.
You'll see a difference in the like melt consistency and the color usually too.
Cool.
So it's
So
not
how do
always
we do
better.
this? How do we do it, Justin?
You just switch to it's a setting on maybe the third or fourth tab that says slice by object. It's under others, and then under special mode there's print sequence. It's by object, and then you'll start when you see each object. Then as you're like selecting them, it'll give you like a boundary of how close they can get to each other, and you can also like then auto arrange, and it will space them out. And so you can also do different materials too, instead of them having to compete. Like, right, it just prints that whole object in one color.
That's cool.
It's pretty cool.
Good find.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't know it was a problem, but that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it can be wasteful, especially if you have multicolor
Sure.
in one object. But like, also, I've also thought of it like a lean one-piece flow for printing.
Yeah.
Especially considering, I mean, even if you just need, like, we get in the situation often where we're like, all right, we need to print 2 things to ship this order today. And often they're just sliced by the whole bed. And it's like, if they were printed by object, we could just reach in and grab one when it's done. Instead of 4 hours, it's 1 hour. I don't know. Cool little thing.
It's cool. I just sent you a picture
Ooh.
of the PS2 pencil sharpener version 2 that we're building. There's a lot of printed parts in it. But
It's really going, though.
It's going. It's Ro and I were sitting playing with it the other day when Ro was working in the office here, and we realized we've kind of created like a semi-modular milling machine because all the rails are the same spacing. And so in its current state, you can kind of pull the axes off each other and put them on another axis. So you can take the milling head and put it on another one, and like accidentally made a horizontal milling machine by sort of putting it together wrong. It's like, it made like
Sounds like a new
fully
product.
fully modular little thing. Yeah, I know. Trying to write software for it when you could like move axes around with different. I reckon it'd be possible. Be cool. Anyway, we're not going to do that. But it was just a funny side effect of having tried to design it in such a way that everything's, heaps of shared parts in it. Trying to keep the part count as low as possible in terms of unique components and keep
Similar fasteners
components
and stuff.
and geometry all really consistent.
All right.
But yeah, it's coming along nicely. It's looking really
wild.
cool. By the way, I don't think I'll be sharing pics of it on the socials. Keep it under wraps, but keep chatting about it here. And hopefully in January we'll have something that can move under its own power and start doing some testing.
Maybe you have to cut this, but how did your giant table turn out the other day that you were subbing
with
for?
Brian, the one I was helping Brian Sawdust Bureau with. It's shipped. He got it done. I got there for one day. He's had various other people get there and give him a hand. And I believe it's all done and dusted and looking amazing out the door.
Nice.
In time for his client who was riding him to get it done before Christmas. So, it's good. It's good.
Cool. That's plenty early.
Yeah.
Right. What's your parenting difficulty or challenge or
that was a note. It's probably an offline chat, I think. That was just a thought during the week of like, God, this is hard sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. Just a few low moments, challenging moments during the week with kidlets. Yeah.
We went from never having any things to do on a weeknight, especially because of the pandemic too. We're in one swimming class and it is 3 nights a week for half an hour at a time. So we like rush and hurry to get there after work, spend a half an hour bouncing in a pool, holding a child, then go home, and we're always just like, God, what in the hell? How did this change so much? Like, that's we have one kid that's like a year old. Like, is this what soccer is going to be like?
I know. Yeah, just wait until they're running around doing. They're going to have all their own extracurricular activities. It's getting nuts.
Yeah, right. We're putting in more of these. The lights behind me, but they're like, the brand is Casa. It looks like I'm just holding up streamer lights, but that's probably what they are. But they're like Internet of Things lights. I haven't tried this specific one. It can do 50 different unique zones of colors in a strip of lights, which sounds really complicated.
Yeah.
The apps are usually pretty easy. It's what I have behind me, but in a single color version. I put a set, we originally bought them to put in our printer enclosures just to be on white to light them up more. And they work on smart things and like with the lady in a tube on my desk here. So you can like talk to it and change the color or whatever. And I have it wired up to if this then that. So as you've seen before, when we get an order, it lights up. But we kind of have this problem every once in a while where like the person in the shop's usually like not at a computer yet. Oh, we need, stop quick. Like, oh, don't run that sheet. Or like, there's situations where you kind of want to get somebody's attention or like, yeah, just different situations like that. And I'm going to put more of them in different spots because they've become so useful. Like, it's very like
As a visual
helpful
indicator.
to have visual indications via like I have these are just like light bulb versions, but they're like $20 and really no additional cost to it. That it's super easy to like make a little webhook thing that you can. Yeah, I don't know. It's just been
cool.
useful.
Yeah. If you could just share the IP address to some of those, then we can, the listeners
Right.
can contribute.
Oh, sure.
That'd be fun.
My dog's barking at the.
Hunter. She's wagging her tail. She just wants to say hi.
Yeah, you could see her.
So yeah, feel free to send us some audio bites, messages.
Oh, please do.
Close out the end of the year. Use Justin's new form. Justin loves a form.
Oh, like you
please.
don't, Jim.
Yes. And we'll see you for the final episode of 2024 next week.
Goodbye.
In which Justin will just read Python code for 50 minutes.
Oh, that's a good. That'll get him to come. I didn't mean to say that. Sorry. Bye.